I think a normal part of growing up is constantly fading in and out of this cycle of self doubt. We're not sure if we're on the right track, doing the right thing. We question our decisions and the longevity of those consequences. I wanted to talk about this because I am recently feeling this way. At times, I feel as if I'm certain of what I want. Then, moments later, I revert my decision and go back to square one. I dislike feeling this way, and I'm sure this resonates with most of you. It just feels very inefficient to establish a plan and then having to just kind of drive a bulldozer over it to restart again. And I can only speak for myself. I know I am indecisive when it comes to most things like food and making choices and what to wear, what to do. But I don't know if this meant that I was afraid to commit to a singular choice or that I just have yet to find the right choice for me. So one day, I was carelessly scrolling through Instagram to kill time on the toilet, and I came across this one post by the Yale Chen. I wasn't sure how to pronounce his name at first because his name is spelled Y-A-L-E, like the university, Yale. But, it could also been the way that he would spell his name. So I followed his link and went to his YouTube, and long story short, I found out that his name is indeed Yale. So I was looking at Yao Chen's post, and this one is actually written in Chinese. It was basically 30 questions to ask yourself to help you. Wait, hold on. It was basically a list of 30 questions to ask yourself to help you find out what you want when you don't know what you want. So I was curious, and I just swiped through a few pictures, a few of those questions. They were actually pretty good. So I thought maybe I should sit down, even though at the time I was already sitting, and take my time to answer them, unlike some Snapchat BuzzFeed quiz. So let's see. I have it pulled up on my computer. And without further ado, let's dive into my brain together. I think I'm gonna read it first in Chinese and then translate it into English. So for those of you who understands Chinese, can call me out if I mess up on the translation and still be able to evaluate yourselves correctly. Question 1. 小时候的梦想是什么? What were your childhood dreams? As for me, when I was a kid, I was really drawn to illustration. Drawn to illustration. I really like to draw, and I think aside from the fact that my dad always likes to doodle, and his sketches are really good, so whenever I saw just random paper laying around at home filled with his sketches, I would be really impressed, and naturally I wanted to be like my dad. And another factor was that in elementary school, we had to take art as a subject, and my elementary art teacher, she was really, really cool. At the time, pixie cut wasn't really, widely accepted? Not really. It's just that's not a very popular haircut, so you really got to have the guts in order to pull it off. And she had a pixie cut. She was really cool. She did things her way. She didn't really care about the conventional ways. I was really amazed by her. Plus, she was really good at what she was teaching, so she made me love art. And art was one of those classes that I would look forward to all week, and I would do my best to impress her in class so that she would pay a little bit more attention to me and help me critique my art, even though I don't know if it's art that I created. They were just elementary school student doodles. But because of her, I took on a lot of responsibilities in my class. Because like in Asia, you stay in the same homeroom. So we have a blackboard in the front and a blackboard in the back. So blackboard in the front is obviously used by the teacher, and the board in the back is usually for us to post any announcements, and then we would have murals on them, and I would be the person in charge of drawing those murals every week. That helped me deepen my interest in art, and I continued drawing even when I moved to the States because it became one of the ways that I try to talk to myself when things weren't working out. I had a sketchbook. I took my favorite characters from different cartoons, different animes, and then just gave them kind of like a super Smash Bros vibe. So I put all the characters I liked in my own cartoon, and they interacted with each other, and they have their own storyline. And I did that up until probably the end of middle school, and then in high school, I kind of ran out of time to do that, so I stopped doing that. But in the earlier stages of my life, my childhood dream was to become an artist. Second question, 你喜欢谈论什么? What do you like to talk about? Currently, I think because I am in this critical age of my life where I'm out of college trying to figure out who I am, these days I always talk to my close friends about my goals regarding what I want to do in the future, what should I invest in, how should I choose my career, is what I'm doing correct, mostly about my future endeavor. So those are the topics that I've been talking about. And we also talked about politics recently because it's such an important matter that is usually overlooked. For the longest time, I've tried to avoid it as well, but 2020 is a very important year for us living in the US, and politics should be something that is not overlooked, regardless of what year we're living in, because it directly involves with our livelihood and taxes and stuff like that, and it's about our future. So if you want to have a say about your future, I think you should be involved with politics, even just a little bit. Be aware and stop being oblivious to what is going on in this country and in this society, because we are all member of this society. So it's important for us to know what's going on. Question number 4. 你喜欢看什么样的书? What kind of book do I like to read? For me, let's see. I like to read a lot of different types of genre, but the most prominent one is, what is it called in English? In Chinese, it's 悬疑小说, like mystery novel, mystery, thriller, kind of like a true crime. A few years ago, I was really obsessed with this one series. It's a Chinese literature. It's called 十宗罪. Basically, if you translate it into English, it's 10 Deadly Sins. And the author, I think his name was Spider, he compiled some of the gruesome cases in the Chinese history and kind of twisted a few things and turned them into books. I freaking bought the entire series, shoved it in my luggage, and then brought it all the way from China. I'm very intrigued by true crime. In fact, I don't really watch mukbang. For those of you who don't know, mukbang is basically kind of like an eating show where the host is eating different assortment of food, and sometimes they have different theme. And there is this one YouTuber I watch religiously. Her name is Stephanie Su, and she does true crime mukbangs. And literally, she is one of my main outlets getting to know true crime stories, because sometimes when I'm doing my errands, I would just play her videos in the background and listen while I fold my clothes or like cooking, or sometimes if I'm eating, I would eat with her as well. But yeah, true crime is my most favorite genre. Question 5. 你喜欢看什么样的影片? What kind of movie do you like to watch? I think my preference changed over time as I aged, but I love, not necessarily traditional rom-com, but more so movies that portray love. This is not even gonna make sense, but in an indie way. There are some indie movies that have talked about issues of love that have been overlooked by society, and I really enjoy those kind of movies because usually indie movies, they also have a great color scheme. It's just very pleasurable to watch, and the storyline is great, and those are the movie that I don't watch it and forget. It stays in my mind. And I also love movies like Inception. Inception is one of my most all-time favorite movie. It's a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of, is it thriller? Not necessarily. It's, what is it? But sci-fi, mystery, a mixture of those. I think, what is his name? Christopher Nolan? Nolan? The person who directed Inception and then Interstellar and now Tenet. That genre is what I dig in terms of movies. Question 6. 什么样的生活是你想要的? What kind of life do you want? I don't think I have a definite answer for this one, but when I was in college, there was this mural next to our school, and it said, "Live a great story." And that saying stuck with me for the longest time. Even though I don't necessarily have a concrete value in the things I want in my life, I know that no matter what kind of situation I'll end up being in, I want to live a great story. I want to make sure that my life was meaningful. But then again, this goes back to why I'm feeling so torn up right now, because in the past, I've thought I've established with myself that I want to do humanitarian works. I want to go to these different places and uncover these stories and tell it to the world. But then, 1 month later, when I am just struck by reality and all these other things that I have to consider, I had a sudden urge to want a normal life, like a normal 9-to-5 life where I make decent salary and then I will be able to afford a good, nice car and then a nice house and then live a stable life. I'm always bouncing between those two depending on what I'm currently facing. But overall, I think the life that I want is a meaningful one where it's a great story to tell my grandkids or people that will be younger than me. Question 7. 你把谁当成自己的偶像? Who do you see as your role model? I would say probably my mom, because the amount of things that she went through in order to bring me over here to the States and just fighting in the country that she didn't know anything about, just with the mere hope of giving both of us a better life. I think that's very admirable, and there are a lot of qualities that I see, even though sometimes we don't agree, and we've had a bad history regarding pre-med. There are a lot of qualities that I learned from my mother, and I try to mirror her work ethic in order to become a person like her. In general, she is a role model figure for me that I look up to. I hope, my wish is that when I am at her age, I will be able to age like her as well. Question number 8. 你对你现在的生活满意吗? Are you happy? Are you satisfied with your current life? Yes and no. Yes, because I still feel very blessed to be able to live with my parents and not having to worry about rent, but ultimately I am not satisfied with my life at the moment because I'm not progressing at a speed that I want. I want to be able to secure a job. I want to be able to live on my own without worrying my parents. So As far as my life at the moment, overall, I am not satisfied with it. I want to keep making progress and change and find the better version of me. So no. Question 9. 你希望5年后的自己会变成什么样？ What do you... Wait, hold on. Let me... 你希望5年后的自己会变成什么样？ What do you see... Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I feel like this is a question that employers ask you a lot during interviews. I would say in 5 years. 5 years seems like a long time, but then again, college was 4 years, and that went by really fast. So I hope in 5 years, I, first of all, no longer have to depend on my parents. I would be able to take care of everything myself, regardless of what I am doing. I hope I have started in a career or whatever that I decide to choose and begin to invest in my story, the story of my life. I hope I am no longer indecisive, and I hope 5 years later I am someone who I would be proud to share with my parents and the people who love me. I hope I can become someone whom my love would be proud of knowing. Yes. All right, before my brain tangles any further, question 10. 如果没有金钱的问题，你会做什么? If money is not a problem, what will you do? 100% creating content, creating videos or music, podcasts as well. I see myself as someone creative, and I really do find great joy when I am able to create something. When I made a video just about something random, or about a series or a short documentary, things like that. Even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I am still very happy that I turned a part of my imagination into reality. So if I don't have to worry about money, if I don't have to worry about bills, I would definitely be creating content for myself and for the world to see. Because there's a lot of ideas in my brain, and sometimes I just brush it off thinking, oh, I don't have the budget for that. Oh, I don't have the time for that. Oh, I gotta work. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And those ideas just end up dying. I'm not saying that those are golden ideas, but I feel like they're worth sharing, and it's a part of my life. It's a part of my journey of finding myself. So I should really turn them into reality when I can, instead of procrastinating, because procrastination kills creativity. Question 11. 如果你一定会成功，你会做什么? If you will definitely succeed, what will you do? Creating content. Yeah. Question 12. 你害怕做什么事情? What are you afraid of? After pre-med, just the entire situation and the experience of going through pre-med, taking the MCAT, I think it's sad to say, I'm currently afraid of failing again, especially because pre-med was such a big chunk of my life. Not only was it 4 years of college, it was something, you kind of have to start preparing when you're in high school. So high school and college, roughly about 6 years of my life I've dedicated to pre-med in hopes of becoming a physician. Towards the end of that journey, it was less of what I wanted to do, but more of what my parents wanted to do. So now that I had that failing experience, because I quit pre-med at the end, if you didn't listen to my previous podcast, I felt like at times I am afraid to try a new career, a new route, without thinking so far ahead that I would fail, so might as well not give it a try. Especially because I'm an overthinker. I like to think about things 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing because it stresses myself out before I even start doing that task. So for question number 12, I'm most scared of failing at the moment. Question 13, 有什么事情可以让你感到开心? What makes you happy? It could be anything. It could be something small. It doesn't have to be something big. Sometimes when the other day I was driving to work, and at the intersection there was a older gentleman. He was wearing his little bucket hat and watering his plants on the side, and I drove by him and he saw me and he looked up, he smiled at me, and he waved, and that warmed up my heart, and I was just in such a good mood that day. So it could be something small. It doesn't have to be something very extravagant. It's not a surprise or go out buying new clothes. I think the biggest change I've had since last year, from last year to this year, was that I started to tell myself to appreciate little things, because little things, little moments are the foundation to big feelings. So I try to count my blessings every day and appreciate all the kindness that comes my way. And I hope when I share my kindness with others, it would touch their heart and light up their day in some way as well. And they would continue to spread that positive energy with the people around them. So yeah, kindness makes me happy. Question 14, 你现在在为了什么努力? What are you currently working towards? Like, what are you grinding for? Right now, realistically speaking, I am currently grinding for my student loans. I feel very constricted in a sense of what I allow myself to pursue, because I have this hefty student loan that I have to pay on a monthly basis. At the time, because we didn't do much research, we actually borrowed a loan from a private company. They're not as lenient as federal student loans, which was a mistake on my part, and I have to pay for it. I'm being very careful with what kind of job I try to get, and which is why it leads to the difference in what kind of life I want to live and what kind of life I think I should live. Like, currently, I think I should live a life where I can have a stable job, a stable salary to take care of that student loan part. But it's not necessarily what I truly, truly want to live, if that makes sense. I'm so sorry if I confused you. But right now, realistically speaking, financially speaking, I am hustling for my student loans. But spiritually speaking, I am trying to find inner clarity. I'm trying to understand myself better and really find what I want to do in the future. Number 15, 你有定下实际的目标吗? Have you set any realistic goals? In terms of my student loans, I think so. I would never, ever make any risky move if I can't make sure that I will be able to still make that monthly student loan payment, which turned me into I don't know how to describe it. It just shut down a lot of opportunities for me because I'm not willing to compromise that safety zone for the student loan payment for something that, I could potentially hop onto. So I think realistic goals is I'm always making sure that whatever I do, I would be able to pay student loan every month. And so far, it's going pretty steady. I have been making my student loans payment, except when COVID first hit, and then they gave everyone a forbearance period, which was really nice because market was declining and then work hours were reduced and all that kind of stuff. But I think that was the most realistic goal that I had financially. Question 16. 你需要停止做的3件事是什么？ 3 things that you need to stop doing. Number 1, procrastination. Even though I'm much better than before, I still procrastinate a lot. I try to keep myself accountable by utilizing Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar for every single thing. I set up my events for what I plan on doing, and I block it out for the day. And I also set up smaller reminders to myself. I would say things like, Julie, do laundry. 15 minutes later, I would have another reminder, be like, you better folded your clothes already. And then 30 minutes after that, have you done your workout yet? Things like that. I would have big events planned out throughout the day and smaller reminders to make sure to remind my lazy self that I was actually sticking to my schedule. So procrastination is number 1. Number 2, stop overthinking. As I mentioned before, I'm someone who overthinks a lot. I feel like I would not do anything if I can't make sure that... See, it's a very tricky thing. How am I supposed to know what the future holds? But in my mind, I still try to figure out and set up scenarios where, if I do it this way, would I be okay 5 months from now? Would I be okay 1 year from now? But 5 months from now, 1 year from now is a very long time, and things could change like that. That's how COVID changed this entire country and the world. So I should really stop overthinking, however, still being realistic to the things that I plan on doing, but be a little bit more brave. Is that the right word? Be a little bit more brave on kind of things I want to try. Give myself a chance on something new. And the third thing that I should stop doing, let's see. I've changed my schedule. I've started waking up early and then trying to go to bed at, the third thing that I should stop doing is probably playing with my phone until I fall asleep. That's a very bad habit I have. And on some days, I'm really good at setting my phone aside on my table to charge while I go to sleep. And then on other days, it feels like I am afraid to fall asleep. I don't want the day to end, and I just spend time on my phone until I gradually can no longer stay awake and I fall asleep. There were some days that I felt like that I felt like my day was not long enough. I didn't want it to end already, and I would just scroll on Instagram, or sometimes I would even go on IKEA to look at furnitures just for fun. I don't even need furniture, nor do I have a place to put them, but I would just look at the IKEA catalog and kill time until I get sleepy and fall asleep eventually. But I think the third thing that I should really stop doing is playing with my phone until I fall asleep. I'm trying to set this, I think there's a new feature on iOS 14 called sleep mode. You can establish what time you want to go to sleep, what time you want to wake up, and 30 minutes before you are scheduled to sleep, in order to hit your sleep goal, it will automatically turn your phone into the do not disturb mode, and you can add all kinds of shortcuts on the phone screen, but it would just be blacked out unless if you manually hit dismiss and disable the mode. I should really stick to that because I see it pop up on my phone all the time, and I would just hit dismiss and go back to IKEA. So that's a really bad habit I should try to break, because that way I would be able to sleep more and I would feel more energized in the morning. Question 17. 你需要开始做的3件事是什么? 3 things that you need to start doing. I feel like this kind of question requires time for me to think instead of just answering on the spot. 3 things you need to start doing. Let's look at different aspects of my life. Maybe that will help me think. Job-wise, I would say the first thing I need to start doing is kind of find out what I want to do. But that's very vague. So perhaps establishing my priorities in terms of career choice should be the first thing that I should do. Second thing I should do is, personal finance. I'm not really good at personal finance. I'm not a very big spender, but at the same time, I'm not a very good saver. There's a term in Chinese, it's called 月光族. Basically, it means that by the end of the month, all the money that they've earned are gone. So they don't get to save anything. And I sometimes feel like that. But one contribution to that problem is because I don't earn enough yet. Obviously, a big chunk of that goes to student loans, and then the rest is for my rent as well as living expenses. So I need to find a better job first so that I'm not a part of that squad anymore, and I will be able to start saving things. But you can start saving regardless how much you're making. It's more so a habit, so I think I should start doing that. Look into personal finance and just have a little bit of savings as a rainy day fund in case anything happens, because you never know. You never know. And the third thing that I should probably start doing, let's see. Oh, this is completely random. In fact, it probably might sound irrelevant, but I think the third thing I need to do personally is to find my own style of clothing. As I mentioned in the previous podcast, I think it was the previous podcast, I didn't feel very confident before because I didn't really care about fashion nor like the stuff that I was wearing on my body. But nowadays, I'm starting to gain some interest, and I realized that my style is very different from typical girls because I don't really like very feminine clothing. Recently, I've been really digging that workwear vibe. So I'm trying to build my own style that's more true to me instead of things that society think I should wear. Yeah, plus I'm having fun trying to find pieces that goes well together and is pleasing to my eye. So the third thing that I would start doing is to find my style. Question 18. 有什么事是你现在就得放下的? What? Oh my god. I don't even know how to say this. What kind of baggage should you leave behind? How's that? I think for me, I should really let go of the fact that I always feel regretful of, sometimes I say, wasting my 4 years with pre-medicine. It's hard for me not to think that way because every time when I find interest in something that I could have done in college, I just think, I could have done that as my undergrad if I had stood up for myself earlier and not pursue pre-medicine as my parents wanted me to do. But at the end, it doesn't really matter that much, and plus, it's already in the past, so I cannot change the past. And rather than looking backwards, I should look forward in terms of what can I make use of my experiences and the things that I know. Like, what are some things that I can do in the future that would also utilize my knowledge? So I should really stop and let go of the fact that I regret learning pre-medicine. Because everything happened for a reason. And even though I don't know now, hopefully I will get to find out why in the future. So in the meantime, I will hold on to what I know and hopefully they will be useful in the future. Question 19. 你身边的朋友都是谁? Who are the friends around you? Who are you friends with? Who's around you? Wait, I think you get the idea of what this question is asking. I keep a handful of my friends close because I realized that only a few really mattered and cared about me. In high school, in middle school, you have a lot of friends, right? But eventually they get weeded out as you head into college. You make different kind of friends, and usually those are the people that you would be friends with for a long time because that is when you're heading into more so a professional part of your life. The close friends that I currently have, one I met my freshman year when I was when I was asking to make sure that I was at the right classroom. And then two other close friends are actually completely unrelated to my college life. I met them when I went to a convention in California. One of them I've also traveled to Korea with. Those two were unexpected friendships that grew past the event that we were in California for. That really blossomed into a beautiful friendship, and I'm really thankful for them. They always check up on me and just to make sure that everyone is doing okay, and I really, really appreciate that because it was something really unexpected that turned out so beautiful. And also, obviously, my significant other, he's my best friend. We always have deep conversations about life and then love and our future, things like that. But I think those would be the closest friends that I have as I'm moving to a different stage of my life. They are still around me, and I really, truly treasure everything they've offered me, and I hope I've contributed something to their life as well. Whew, that got heavy. Question 20. 你身边的人都如何描述你? How do the people around you describe you? I think I said I think a lot because I think a lot. I would say optimistic, outgoing, funny, and nice. These are some of the common things that people have told me. And innocent, which I think it depends on what kind of topic that we're talking about, but life doesn't allow you to stay innocent for very long, so hold on to that. Oh, also responsible. Responsible, yeah. I'm never not responsible. Question 21. 有什么是你特别擅长拿手的? What are you good at? I think my strength lies in oral communication because I had so many customer-facing jobs, so it kind of cultivated my people skills, which, I don't know, I kind of have a love and hate relationship with humans because some people are really nice and some people are just really, 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 really bad. And that is one thing that you will unfortunately find out inevitably if you are in any career, any business that has to deal with people. Yeah. Whew. Okay, back to the question. Aside from oral communication, I think team collaboration. Wait, why am I answering this as if I'm writing this on my resume? Other than work-related things, I'd say I'm good at singing. I really enjoy singing. And I've sung a couple of covers and I've written English lyrics for them. They're usually Korean songs that I wrote English lyrics for. So you don't get confused because you're probably thinking, yeah, all American songs are in English, so why would you rewrite the lyrics? No, that's not the case. And another thing I think I am I'm sufficient in is video editing. I've made a travel vlog, I think every year since 2018. 2019. 2018 was in China, 2019 was in Hong Kong, 2017 was in South Korea, and 2020 is COVID. So I've edited a lot of videos, traveling vlogs, or just other random personal skits or personal challenges that I want to do, rants, etc., etc. So I would say I'm not too bad at editing as well. So editing, singing, sometimes lyrics writing, oral communication. I think those are my strengths. This feels weird to say that out loud about myself. But moving on to question 22. 如果时间来到3年后，你会跟自己说什么? If we travel to 3 years later, what would you tell yourself? Oh, if I travel to 3 years later, what would I tell myself? I thought this was going to be a question where it's like, if we travel 3 years ago, what would you tell yourself? me, get out of pre-med, do whatever you want to do. If I traveled to 3 years later, I would probably tell myself, don't forget who you are. The world could be a very filthy place, and we have a lot of great minds that unfortunately were tainted and destroyed by the world and its reality. Regardless of what I am doing in the future, first of all, I hope you're being financially responsible with your baggages, aka your loan baby. But above all, I hope you haven't lost what makes you special. I hope I am still being true to myself, regardless that I have to adult, be realistic, and I hope I am still me instead of turning into one of those people that I hope I would never turn into. Yeah. Question 23. Oh, look at that, look at that. 如果时间能重来，你会做什么? If we can turn back time, what will you do? Well, not pre-med, first of all. Second of all, I would probably give RTF a try to take on filming and build my skills, create my, I don't know, but that is something I could do right now as well if I really put my heart and mind to it. So if I can turn back time, I would probably just tell myself to follow my passion. And my coworker once said this to me: don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. So do what your heart tells you to do. And of course, do it responsibly and make sure that it's something doable, logic-wise. And ask for forgiveness later. So I would tell myself this exact saying. And yeah, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have to do pre-med. But I just hope that it's a choice that I am making for me instead of for my parents again. 24. Question 24. We're almost there. 如果你要形容你自己，你会怎么形容? If you have to describe yourself, what would you say? I would say I am someone who is optimistic. That was one thing that I associated myself with early in my age. Wait, my brain is not working. Give me just 1 second to rephrase that. Being optimistic was something that I associated with ever since I was young. I wanted to be an optimistic child because I was living with only my dad since my parents separated, and a lot of people around me pitied me, but I didn't want them to see me that way because I thought that my situation was not that bad. It was not the worst case scenario. So I try to be optimistic ever since I was young. So the first word would be optimistic, and the second word, I would say kind. I try to spread kindness to the people around me because a little bit of kindness really goes a long way. Kindness and respect is something I will always give to someone, unless if you are incredibly rude, then I would think twice before offering you kindness and respect again. A long while ago, I think I told myself that no matter what situation I am in, I will always have manners. So I think, is manner a word that I can use to describe myself? I don't know if that works, but having manners is also another word. I almost want to say happy, but I don't think it's true all the time, so I'll scratch that off. Another word to describe myself. Lazy. I am lazy. I will admit to that. I'm trying to be less lazy by following my plans and routines, but I would admit that I am a habitual lazy person. Let's try to find one more word. Funny. Yes, funny, humorous. I think this is a trait that came as a 1+1 package with being optimistic. One way of being optimistic all the time is to find humor in everything. And my dad was a very humorous person, and I picked up my funny trait from him. So yeah, I always like to make jokes here or there to bring light to a dark situation, or, sometimes just to have fun in general. So humorous would be the last word that I would use to describe myself, because this would take way too long if I really try to think it through. Question 25. 如果你现在就可以去旅行，你会去哪里？ If you can go travel right now, where will you go? I will go to South Korea because my boyfriend is currently residing there. He had to go back after his graduation from college. So I would definitely teleport to South Korea if possible. Question 26. 如果你未来有小孩，你希望他们如何看待你？ If you have a kid in the future, how would you want them to see you as? Does that make sense? If you have a kid in the future, reverts the very first translation that I did. If you have a kid in the future, how would you want them to see you as? I hope I am someone who is both like a mentor and a friend to my kid. I hope that I am someone they are comfortable sharing their concerns and worries with, someone that they can talk to as a friend, and also someone who they can come to for advice. Question 27. 你常常许下的愿望是什么? What is a wish that you often wish for? Or what is a wish that you often make? If I can recall correctly, I always wished for good health. Not for myself, but more so for the people around me. Because I realize good health is something that's very hard to come back. And also, it's a very unpredictable thing. Some people can leave in an instant. Some people might leave you the next day. You never know what might happen. So I always wish that the people around me, the people who I love, have good health and would stay and stick around for a long time. Question 28. We're almost done. 有什么是你一直想做却还没做的? What is something that you always wanted to do but have not done yet? I wanted to do podcasts, and I didn't think about doing it for the longest time and just decided to do it. Oh, I would say make music. Like actually making music. I've made a few songs on my ukulele, but those were more so, they're songs, but it's not like a full-fledged single that you would hear on the radio or include it in an album. So I want to make my own music in the future that involves multiple instruments and maybe futuristic sounds as well, but that's something I've always put off. I always thought that I was not good enough, and also procrastination. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Number 29. 如果是你的好朋友遇到跟你一样的问题，你会怎么去跟他说? If your good friend encountered the same problem as you did, how would you tell them? How would you consult them? I feel that whenever we're trying to give advice to someone else, even though if we're experiencing the same thing, it really brings out the logic in us, and we try to be as subjective as possible. I would probably sit down and analyze the pros and cons of the situation and try to sort it out together. Because in the process, I can have my input, they can have their input, and it offers two perspectives. You never know, maybe it would help us resolve whatever problem that we're currently facing, and it's a win-win. But overall, I would try to be as subjective as possible, not biased, and offer my side of perspective. Okay, question 30. 重新检视这些问题，再多问自己为什么会写下这些答案. Basically, it's asking us to review our answers and ask ourselves, why did we answer the way that we did? I didn't write down anything, so I don't think I'll be able to recall anything. But hopefully, by sitting through this conversation that I was having with myself, you can have an honest conversation with yourself too. To help you analyze who you were, who you are, and who you might become in the future. I wish you the best of luck in your lifelong journey, and I hope our encounter today made a positive influence to your expedition on self-discovery. This is the 5th episode of Lactose Intolerant. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week.